really an amazing place. Feels like a dream. A place of many wonders. And full of life. I open my eyes. Earth is our Pandora.
Deep inside the forests of Indonesian Papua lives a people whose way of life has remained closely tied to the forest for generations. These are the Korowai. For a long time, many Korowai communities lived far away from modern world, spread across their own clan territories deep inside the rainforest. The forest is not just where they live. The forest is where they build their homes. The forest is what keeps their entire way of life moving. Their morning begins with work. Some people head into the forest to search for food. Some go toward the rivers to fish. Because for the Korowai, every day comes with the same question. What will we find today? One of the most important foods they depend on comes from a tree that looks completely ordinary to an outsider. The sago palm. This tree is one of the foundations of Korowai life. But before the food reaches the cooking area, there is serious work to be done. Because hidden inside this massive plant is a soft, starchy pith that usually turn into one of the most important foods in the Korowai diet. This is where you begin to understand something important about these people. They are not simply surviving in the forest. They have learned how to turn the forest into almost everything they need. But getting food from this tree is not as simple as picking fruit from a branch. Traditionally, men commonly handle the heavy early stages of the process. They bring down the palm and work through the trunk to reach the starchy pith. Then the women take on much of the processing that follows. The material is breakdown, washed, and worked with water. The useful starch separates from the unwanted fibers. And after the starch settles, it can be collected and prepared as food. Korowai hunters can go after wild pigs and other animals. Cassowaries are also hunted. And around their homes, families usually plant and maintain crops such as bananas and sweet potatoes. But there is another thing that makes the Korowai instantly recognizable. Their houses. Instead of putting their homes directly on the ground, traditional Korowai communities have often built them high above ground level. The higher the house goes, the more questions it creates. To the Korowais, it is a combination of safety, the environment, insects, flooding, animals, enemies, and the Korowai understanding of the spiritual world. These houses are not simply tree houses built for fun. They are homes. The first thing you need to understand about their building pattern is the environment. This is a rainforest. The ground can be wet. The forest is full of insects. Mosquitoes are everywhere. There are animals moving through the vegetation, and during heavy rain, the ground becomes extremely flooded and muddy. So living above the forest floor gives the family a different kind of protection. And above all, their security. In the past, conflict between neighboring groups was a real part of life in the region. From above, the family has a better view of what is happening around them. The Korowai also have a spiritual understanding of the forest. Their traditional beliefs include spirits and dangers associated with the world around them. So height can also be connected to how they understand safety itself. A traditional Korowai treehouse is not made from bricks. Instead, the Korowai uses a strong tree for the main support. Branches become part of the frame. Rattan is used to bind pieces together. Sago palm materials is used for walls and flooring. Because the materials are natural, the house does not last forever. And these are not permanent concrete buildings designed to survive for generations without wearing out. The structure eventually needs to be repaired or replaced. For the Korowais, building a house is not something that happens once and is forgotten. It becomes part of life. A family constantly moves between different house locations connected to their food sources, relatives, and clan territory. This is why understanding Korowai food is so important, because their diet tells you something bigger. They are not living with one source of survival. They have built a relationship with an entire ecosystem, and that relationship is what has allowed communities to live here for generations. As you can see, the reality is much more interesting. They are a living people. Their culture is changing. Some use modern goods, and some continue traditional practices, so this is not a story about a people frozen in time. It is a story about a people trying to carry their culture forward while the outside world keeps moving closer. And perhaps that is the most important thing to understand about the Korowai. They are not characters from an ancient movie. They are not a mystery that disappeared from the modern world. They are people with families, people with land, people with traditions, people whose knowledge of the forest has been passed from one generation to another.